Last video we covered One Night Ultimate Werewolf, but we gotta be honest here. The characters are severely stacked against the werewolf's favor. Inside of Daybreak, however, the werewolves finally get a fighting chance to where they actually have powers and stuff to do. So feel free to jump to any point of the chapters inside of this video to get exactly what you need. Ultimate Daybreak is the unofficial sequel to One Night Ultimate Werewolf, and the reason that I call it an unofficial sequel is that One Night Ultimate Daybreak can be played by itself. However, it also has the ability to be paired with One Night Ultimate Werewolf, to where you have a fully stacked werewolf roster ahead of you. This game by itself is only 3 to 7 players, and the Village Team has the same goal as every other game in the One Night Ultimate series, to simply catch one werewolf no matter who dies on the team. However, shortly inside of this video, I'm going to explain to you how these roles work. The Werewolf Team is the same in regards to all being wolves, but this time the wolves inside of One Night Ultimate Daybreak actually have the ability of doing stuff, to where instead of just merely finding each other, they have additional steps on top of that, which makes them a lot more fun to play as a werewolf, and puts the Village Team on its toes. One Night Ultimate Daybreak is set up the exact same way as any other One Night Ultimate game, to where everyone is going to get a single card, to where that is going to be their role for the rest of the game, and is the only time that they're going to be able to look at it. There are also going to be, just like in any other One Night Ultimate game, 3 cards in the middle to determine a bluff system. If an alpha wolf is in play, and that is the decision that you wish to go with, then you will place 1 extra card in the center perpendicular, and it will be the Dream Wolf. If you have it combined with the One Night Ultimate Werewolf original game, then you have the ability to replace the Dream Wolf with any werewolf type except for the Alpha Wolf. If the Sentinel is in play, then place the shield token in the center to where it is reachable by all players. If the Curator is in play, then you are going to randomly shuffle and organize the Curator's Artifacts into a stack right beside the center cards as such. Going into the night phase order, the first thing that I need to talk about is the day phase characters. Much like the Hunter, Villager, and Tanner, these 2 roles will never wake up at any point during the game. However, they each have special abilities that you might want to pay attention to. On the Village Team, we have ourselves the Bodyguard. The Bodyguard doesn't have any powers during the night phase, but is incredibly crucial inside of the day phase. When it comes to the time to vote, and a majority would get a certain player killed, whoever the Bodyguard is pointing at is immediately protected from that majority vote, and all the votes get deflected onto the second player who has the most votes. Dream Wolf on the Werewolf Team, if he is not a card that is being used by the Alpha Wolf special power, then what will happen is the Dream Wolf will never wake up. In fact, when the werewolves are called to wake up and find other werewolves, the Dream Wolf will do none of that, and will only stick out their thumb so that the other werewolves know who the Dream Wolf is, but the Dream Wolf won't know who his werewolves are. Starting with our first set of powers, we have ourselves the Revealer. During the night phase, the Revealer will be able to pick any player's card and turn it face up. That role is on the Villager Team, then that card will remain face up for the rest of that game, as it'll be public information that the Village Team can work off of. If the card that was turned face up was a werewolf, however, then the Revealer has to turn that card back face down before closing their eyes. During the night phase, the Witch has this special power. When she wakes up during the night phase, she has the option of looking at any of the center cards. If she does look at a card from the center, then she has the ability to use that card to transform any other player into the role in which she looked at. This could be done to any other player, or it could be done to herself. The Paranormal Investigator is a very tricky role inside of One Night Ultimate Daybreak, because even though he is originally on the Village Team, the paranormal investigator has the ability to look at up to 2 players' cards. However, there is a catch. If the cards that the paranormal investigator looked at are on the Village Team, nothing happens. He just was able to successfully confirm 2 different roles. However, if the paranormal investigator looked at a werewolf at any time, whether it was the first card or the second card, the paranormal investigator stops with looking at cards and will transform into either a werewolf or a tanner, respectively, depending on which card he looked at. The apprentice here is far more simple, as she is essentially a weaker version of her original master, as she has the ability to look at any one card from the center to gather information. For the Sentinel will wake up and has the ability to pick up his shield token, and on any card that isn't himself, place it down on top of that card. Any card with a shield token on top of it cannot be moved, looked at, nor have an artifact placed on top of it at all. It is locked in place no matter what happens. The only thing is that the Sentinel cannot place the shield token on themselves. Mystic Wolf will originally wake up with the other werewolves to see who it is that's on their team. And following the Lone Wolf rules, if the Mystic Wolf was by themselves, then they would have the ability to take a look at one card from the center. However, if the Mystic Wolf does wake up with other werewolves and doesn't take a look at a card from the center, then the Mystic Wolf can then look at a single card from any other player to give the Werewolf Team some information to try to find players on. Alpha Wolf will do the same first half as the Mystic Wolf, with waking up with the rest of the other werewolves, finding out who's on their team. But when the Alpha Wolf wakes up again later, the Alpha Wolf will take this center werewolf card, whether it be the Dream Wolf or any other werewolf, and will swap it with any other character in order to transform them into another werewolf. The Village Idiot is by far the most chaotic role inside of One Night Ultimate Daybreak, because when the Village Idiot wakes up during the night phase, he is going to move all of the cards either to the left or to the right, ignoring both himself and any character that has the shield token on top of it. Curator is super simple in regards to the specifics of what he does, as he will randomly take one of the tokens from the pool and place the artifact on any character. He can do this to himself. Everybody finishes taking their night actions and wakes up during the day phase. The player who potentially sees that they have an artifact token on their card is going to take a peek at the artifact token and interpret the token information as such, while also taking into account the Sentinel shield as it protects them from artifacts. The Mask of Muting makes it to where that player doesn't have to speak and may sit in silence and communicate through either hand gestures or any other versions of sound, so long as no talking is allowed. The Void of Nothingness does nothing. The Shroud of Shame forces that player to turn their back facing away from the table, and is my personal favorite artifact that the Curator has. And they have the ability to talk, but they can't face any player, and they have to vote blindly, with the majority of the group interpreting what exactly the vote is going to count towards. And the Villager turns that player into a villager and causes them to lose any powers that they had previously. This artifact, as well as any other role-changing artifacts, overrides even the mark system inside of One Night Ultimate Vampire. Claw of the Werewolf turns that player into a werewolf. Cudgel of the Tanner turns that player into a tanner. All 6 of these artifacts can be used as many or as few as you see fit, depending on your gaming group, and the player who has that artifact can bluff any of these artifacts to where they cannot reveal the artifact that they received, but they can claim to have gotten any specific one, or pretend that they got any specific one. This will be the Master Knight Order list, to where if you are trying to announce the roles yourself personally, instead of using the One Night Ultimate app, which I would highly recommend that you do, then this is the order in which the roles go in. I'm going to first show off a master list of both One Night Ultimate Werewolf and One Night Ultimate Daybreak, and then I will omit them for you to be able to see. So, keeping that in mind, these are all of the day phase roles inside of the master list, so remember that none of these roles are ever going to wake up at all during the night phase. But their powers are going to play a influence on the rest. Starting from the top of the list, we have the Sentinel, who's going to go very first inside of the night phase. Then we have the Doppelgänger. All of the wolves, meaning the werewolves, the alpha wolf, and the mystic wolf, will all wake up and do their action of waking up and finding each other. Then the alpha wolf will take his action. The mystic wolf, the minion, the masons, the seer, apprentice seer, paranormal investigator, robber, witch, troublemaker, village idiot, drunk, insomniac, revealer, and curator. The Doppelgänger is still a very complicated role to incorporate in any One Night Ultimate game, so in particulars when it comes to One Night Ultimate Daybreak, her ability, alignment, and things like that don't change, but here's just a kind of a reminder of how the Doppelgänger is going to work. So, the Doppelgänger wakes up and is going to look at a player's card in order to become a copy of that card. If she sees the werewolves or the masons, she is going to wake up at the same time as these roles in order to be either a third mason or a third werewolf. Same applies when it comes to the alpha wolf and the mystic wolf. She'll have waken up to see the other werewolves. But the key thing when it comes to the Doppelgänger copying these roles is the fact that the Doppelgänger will have taken her night actions prior to these roles going. All of these roles, when the Doppelgänger, if the Doppelgänger sees any of these cards during the night phase, then she will become a copy of any of these roles and will have done their night action prior to these roles originally going. So it's the Sentinel, the Apprentice Seer, the Paranormal Investigator, the Village Idiot, the Witch, the Minion, the Seer, the Robber, the Troublemaker, and the Drunk shall have done these actions prior. Interestingly, though, and this is crucial, this is the key difference, the Doppelgänger, if she sees the Revealer, the Curator, or the Insomniac, whenever she is taking her go in the night phase, she is not going to do her night action until after these roles take their go. So it's really important that when it comes to the night phase script, you remember the differences in when the Doppelgänger is going to go before these roles, going at the same time as other roles, or when she's going to go after specific roles. Honestly, overall, I love how much One Night Ultimate Daybreak has improved One Night Ultimate Werewolf and the One Night Ultimate series in general. Now that you have more options at your disposal when it comes to the role selection for just playing with werewolves, and that the werewolves have some sort of stacks to them in order to be able to accomplish things, definitely do what you can to mix and match these games. And who knows, maybe at some point you might go down the road and get yourself One Night Ultimate Vampire, or One Night Ultimate Alien, Or, at the very end of this playlist, I'm going to try what is called an epic battle and teach you guys all about that, to where you can throw all 4 of these games in the series into one crazy thing that happens. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching.